Hello. Recently, my best friend was murdered. I know how that sounds, and I assure you, I'm not here to try to scare you. I'm here because I'm the one who's scared, paranoid, and looking for help. Before I get into what's going on, I'll let you know a little bit about my friend, Alex. We've been best friends since we were kids. We would stay up all night in the pillow forts we would make, always at my house though, never at his. Alex wasn't the cleanest person. Not from the time that we met when we were kids, all the way up until he was murdered. I could never stand being in his room for more than a few moments. I couldn't even see the floor due to all the trash. His parents either didn't care or were too busy to notice, although I can't imagine how. Alex was really into horror movies. He loved the Goosebumps show, and every time we would have a sleepover, he would beg me to watch scary movies with him. But I couldn't. I was a big baby, and I still have problems sleeping in the dark if I'm completely alone. But what I'm getting at is that we spent most of our childhood and early adulthood as friends, which is why when he started to recluse himself, I reached out and tried to figure out what was going on. It was a bit out of character for him. At first I thought he was dealing with depression, but I'd never known him to deal with it in the past, and he's always been an outgoing person. I get at least 3 messages from him a week with something like, "Hey man, check out this story I found on Nosleep. You'll love it." I would roll my eyes and reply something like, remember when you said that about that one story, Feed the Pig, which turned out to have nothing to do with farming, by the way. No thanks. I just don't like scary stories as much as he does, so when I got a message from him saying, "Dude, have you heard of the No-Sleep Challenge?" I replied, "Bro, what do you think?" He replied with, "Well, someone just messaged me about it. I'm gonna try it out." I asked him to explain what it was, but it seemed like he wasn't even sure himself, just that someone told him about it and he was waiting for them to contact him with details. After that, I didn't hear from him for 3 days. This wasn't like him. Normally, I should have received at least one spammy message about some story that he found. I messaged him asking how he was doing. I didn't get a reply. I tried calling him a few times, but it went to voicemail. I was at work at the time, so I figured I would just stop by his house after work. I pulled up to his house and saw his car was there. I knocked on the door, and after a few moments, I knocked again. Still no answer. I tried looking through the windows, but all the curtains were drawn and no lights were on. I was worried, but I wasn't sure what to do. Sure, I can rationalize that it's only been a few days, I don't need to worry. But this wasn't common behavior. I don't think we've gone more than 2 days without some form of communication in 10 years. I figured I was worrying too much and decided to head home. That night, I got a call from Alex. With a sigh of relief, I answered. "Hey, man. Oh, how are things? I haven't heard from you in a few days. I came by your house to make sure you hadn't accidentally hired a hitman on yourself or something. Get it?" All I heard on the other end of the line was static before the line cut off. I looked at my phone for a moment in confusion. I thought it was funny," I said to myself. 2 more days passed. I still hadn't heard from him. I decided to call the police. When the police came to the house, they found the door barricaded from the inside. They were able to get in through a window. What they found was what I can only describe as a mad scientist's attempt at a life-size version of the game Rat Trap. There were poorly rigged contraptions all over the place, weird markings and symbols on the walls, old TVs and speakers were lying everywhere. The house was a wreck, and in the middle of all of it was his desk, covered in papers. The police found my friend in his bathroom. His eyes had been cut out. After the investigation turned up nothing, I was able to see copies of the papers they had found on his desk as I was mentioned in them. The notes appear to be a journal describing what was happening during that time I didn't hear from him. I couldn't get the originals, only photocopies, and the handwriting gets harder to read as it continues, but I'm going to try to transcribe the notes for you, to help you understand, so maybe you can help me. I'll post the pages titled Day 1 as soon as I finish transcribing them. I'll talk to you all soon.